Thank you for your question. Let's take a look at how a teacher will provide descriptive feedback and then return grades to students. So we'll start with this ecology quiz, and so the teacher will click into this. And in order for us to give feedback, we have to give feedback inside the form. All right, so we'll click on and then what we'll do is we will go up to this pencil, which will bring us into the editing mode of this form. And as it comes up, we'll notice that we have two tabs here, one for the questions and one for the responses. So we want to now take a look at the responses tab, and we have 3 people who have submitted responses. All right, so just an overview here. We see that the quiz was out of 13 marks. Right now it's currently accepting responses, so if you wanted to turn off the quiz so that responses cannot be submitted, you just click on this tab. Okay. The other thing to note that in terms of summary, right now if we scroll down, we'll see some of the data collected. Okay, we can see the scores. Do not worry about this button. Do not press this button. It doesn't do anything for us. This is if student had email addresses, and then we release the students' scores to their email addresses, which they don't have access to. So this does nothing. And it does tell us some data here. It created some graphs. So if you wanted to use these graphs, we can copy the graph and we can paste that in. All right, so the summary tab is nice, but it does not allow us to do feedback. So what we can do is we can click on the question and tab, and what this does is allows us to give feedback based on the question. All right, so the first question of our quiz was, what is your name? So we're going to pass by that one because there's nothing to mark there. The password question had nothing to do. Here's an example of a multiple choice question. And so if you wanted to see what the answer was, we can click on the options, and it was true. We can see that was the correct answer. If I scroll down, we can see that out of the 2 people that responded, one said it was true, and they got the mark, and another student said it was false, and they didn't get the mark. So it had marked for us. If you wanted to give feedback, you can definitely click on the add feedback and type in what you wanted to say for anybody who said false. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead to the 2 questions that were short answer. Okay, now you'll notice that in this mode under question, we do not know whose response was whose, and so that does keep the responses anonymous. All right, so here's a response by a student, and depending on how you wanted to grade this, if you wanted to give them, in this case, out of 4, a 4 out of 4, you can hit the check mark, or if you wanted to give them 0 out of 4, you can hit the X. If you wanted to give them a mark in between that, you can select one of these arrows. All right, so in this case, I think that was a pretty good answer, so we'll say 4 out of 4. And if you wanted to give feedback, this is where you would give your descriptive feedback. So we say add feedback. And this is where we can give the student a link or a video, and we can type in our feedback. All right, hit save, and it saves. If you wanted to edit that, you can hit the pencil. If you wanted to delete and start all over, you can hit the garbage can. So again, you see the next person's response, and in this case, maybe we want to give them 1 mark, and we want to give them a comment, and then we hit save. The next student, we see here it is, and again, you can give them the mark you wish and the feedback. And once you're done, you hit save. And we've now marked one set of question for all the students. Now, if you wanted to do this by individual, okay, so you get to see exactly what each individual has done, you can click on individual. And at the top, you see the student number by the individual. And again, we'll see really score. This does nothing, so don't press that button. And we do have the option to print out the responses if you wanted, but here, if we scroll down, you'll see right now the student's at 4 out of 13. We can say that this is Jake's quiz, the password that he typed in. You can see all the questions that he got right. And this was one of the questions that we had already marked, right, from looking at the question. And we can see that this was a question that he didn't. So again, if you wanted to assign a mark, you can click on this line here and assign a mark. And if you wanted to give feedback, you click where it says add individual feedback. Again, you have the option of submitting a link or a YouTube video, or you can type in your descriptive feedback. And when you're done, you hit save. Now, the thing is, if you wanted to go to the next student, you have to select either one of these arrows, or you can pick the next student you wanted to give the feedback to, and then scroll down. So to me, this is not how I do it. I like to go by question so that I'm consistent in my feedback and also grading. All right, so here we'll scroll down. We can see again, I didn't do this question here, so maybe this was worth 3 marks. And then I can type in my descriptive feedback and hit save. So at this point, I've marked all of their quizzes, and I've given the feedback where I want to give feedback, and so I am now done. Okay, so now we'll take a look at how to import the grades into your Google Classroom, and then return these grades for students so they can see their descriptive feedback. So to do that, we'll want to go back into the Google Classroom, and we will click on the number 2 here, because this is what's been turned in. So it comes up to this screen, which we're familiar with, and you'll notice there's a button on the right-hand side that says Import Grades. If this button is not here, there's a few reasons why it may not be there. One is that perhaps you did not put in the quiz properly into Google Classroom using the Drive icon. Another reason why it may not be there is if you have a quiz that allows for multiple entries by the same person, it may not know which grade to actually import. Okay, so if it's not here, there are reasons why, and we can fix those reasons, but that may be another video. So at this moment, I want to import the grades. So right now it says blank out of 100. We know that this quiz was out of 13. So I will say import grades. It's going to ask if I do want to do that, and I do. And here come the grades. And right now, 7 out of 13, 7 out of 13. Now, for any reason, if I needed to or wanted to go back into the quiz to continue giving feedback or change a mark, I can do that. You can import the grades as often as you'd like, and it imports them in here. Now, to return the grades, you can do this one at a time. You can click on the 3 dots and hit return, or you can select each individual student and select return, or you can select all students and hit return. All right, so when I hit return, it verifies that you want to return those to those students, and then you can hit return. And so now the students have received their mark, and I'll show you what that looks like from the student perspective. Okay, so from a student point of view, we'll go back into the Google Classroom, and we will go into that ecology quiz. And we'll notice that it now says graded because it's been returned. So the student will then click on view assignment. And they'll notice that a couple of things are here. The 7 out of 13, so the grade exists right there. And it does say graded. So if they want to see the descriptive feedback, they now go in or back into their Google form. Okay, so right up here. And again, they'll see the score, 7 out of 13. And as they scroll down, they will see what they typed. And here was their question where it said, describe and give an example. And you can see that this is what they wrote. And here was your descriptive feedback. And again, they see their mark from their multiple choice. And again, here is your descriptive feedback. All right, and then the other students, they'll do the same thing. They go back into the quiz, they see that they've got 7 out of 13, it's been graded. They again click on Ecology Quiz, and as they scroll down, they will see their descriptive feedback. Okay. And so now you've seen the student point of view and the teacher point of view for giving students descriptive feedback from a Google form and how to return the mark, and also how a student will see their mark in a Google form in Google Classroom. Have a good day.